My name is Ali. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, community builder. So we're about to turn up the heat over here with Sean Crane. Personally, I attended his mastermind a few months ago. I just wanted to share my experience. So what this is all about, basically, definitely transformed basically the way that I think in terms of personal development. These programs basically are designed to help with self-development, shatter self-limiting beliefs. So we basically have so many things going on right now, and I want to introduce this man. We flew him all the way from California. He's here tonight. So my mentor, my close friend, Sean Michael Crane, everybody.
Welcome in. Hey. What's going on? You guys sound all quiet. What's up? Sleepy? I love the name Uncommon Entrepreneurs, man. I mean, that's like the theme of my life. You know, I shouldn't even be here. This is all a second chance for me. So much love and energy here. I just feel it. I've been here for 24 hours. I love Puerto Rico. I'll be back. I promise you that. And so I want to share with you how I got to this point in my life, what I'm doing now, and all the challenges that I've overcome that really shaped and molded me into the man I am today. I grew up in Santa Barbara, California. Who's from California? Anybody here? Anybody been to Santa Barbara? Keep your hand up. There we go. That's my home. That's my backyard. I grew up surfing, skateboarding, playing football on the street. All American life. I thought everything was great. I thought I had the dream life. And then at about age 10 and 11, I started realizing my parents were different than my friends' parents. My parents were different than my aunts and uncles. My parents were battling addiction. They were drug addicts and alcoholics. I didn't know, but all of a sudden, around age 10 and 11, I started seeing things. I started seeing them fight. Cops would come to our house. I saw my mother overdose 3 times before the age of 12. I thought she was dead in front of me. So suddenly, my beautiful world turned dark and gloomy. And then at the age of 14, I lost both of my parents. I lost my father to state prison, and I lost my mom to the streets. You see, their addiction won, and it defeated them. And I lost both my parents overnight. And so here I went from this kid with big dreams. You know, growing up, I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to be in the Major League Baseball league, right? I wanted to be a professional baseball player. And suddenly I lost both parents. And freshman year in high school, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to cope with that pain. So I actually started following in their footsteps. I turned to drugs and alcohol myself because that was the only thing that could help me to numb out the pain that I was feeling. I didn't know what to do. Here I am, a freshman in high school. I'm supposed to be figuring out who I am as a young man. I lost both my parents. I have no direction, no guidance in my life. So despite all the opportunities and growing up in this beautiful environment in Santa Barbara, California, I was lost. And so I didn't even go to school. I didn't play sports. I started hanging out with kids that were getting in trouble, and I found myself getting in trouble as well. Fast forward all the way to 23 years old. No purpose, no direction in my life, just feeling completely broken inside. You see, I knew internally that there was more for me in this life. I know all of you have that feeling, that special feeling that we all possess that's calling us, that's screaming for us to take more action. That's why you're here in Puerto Rico. That's why you guys are entrepreneurs. You have that energy, right? You see, I had that feeling, but I didn't know how to act on it. I was so broken. And to top it off, at the age of 23, I was arrested for a crime I didn't commit, and I was facing life in prison. So at 23 years old, I found myself in this tiny little jail cell. It was so small I could touch both walls at the same time. And I was alone and I had nothing. And I thought, this is it? This is what my life has come to? It was supposed to be different. I was supposed to figure it out. But it didn't happen that way. You see, God had a different plan for me. And so I'll never forget my first day walking into court, scared and in shock. And I walk into the courtroom and I see all these people taking my picture in the audience. They put my picture on the front page of the news press, Sean Crane charged with attempted murder. No one believed me that I was innocent. Everyone at the party that saw the fight break out said I was the one that did the attack. The cops wrote up a false police report. The judge, the DA, nobody believed me. They all wanted to send me to prison for the rest of my life. And then I saw my lawyer walking over to me that day, and for a second I was hopeful to see somebody who was by my side who could help me. You want to know what she said that day? She said, hey, the judge and the DA, they want to amend your charges to homicide. They don't think the victim's going to make it. They want to send you to prison for the rest of your life. And that was it. And then she just walked away. In that moment, I couldn't even grasp the reality of what was taking place. It felt too surreal. And so for the next 24, 48 hours, I was back in my cell, just in a haze, in disbelief, in shock. And I started trying to find an answer that helped me to make sense of what was transpiring in my life. I started asking myself, how did this happen? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why don't they believe me? How did I end up here? And so I started thinking about all my memories from childhood. I started thinking about surfing and playing sports and what a good athlete I was at a certain time and the good friends I used to have and the dreams that I once possessed. I started thinking about all the memories and all the things that I said I was going to do that I wish I would have done, that I never had the opportunity to do. And in that moment, I started to experience the most painful form of regret you could ever imagine for the way that I chose to live my life. You see, I couldn't see it when I was in the midst of it. But now with all this time to reflect and think and feel, I could see the truth that it was right before my eyes. And there was no escape. And so I know a lot of you are here because you're driven, you're motivated. But I want to ask you this question. If you found yourself in a similar situation, or let's make it a little more realistic, right? Because hopefully none of you are going to jail tonight. What if you went to the doctor next week and found out that you had some progressive form of cancer, some life-threatening ailment? What if they told you had 6 months to live? No, what if they said you have 6 weeks? I'm sorry, there's nothing to do to save you. We have no treatment, no cure. What are the parts of your life right now that you would regret? What are the dreams that you all possess that you're not fully pursuing? What are the goals that you have that you might be procrastinating on? What are the changes that you always tell people that you're going to make that you haven't made yet? You see, that's what's at stake for all of us. And in my cell, I started to see the truth, like I said, but there was nothing I could do to go back and make it different. You can. You still have these opportunities right in front of you. You just are one decision away, one action away, one moment away from taking massive action in your life to overcome that hurdle, whatever it is. You see, if I had known what I was going to feel when I sat in that cell thinking my life was over, I would have lived so much differently. I wouldn't have held back. I wouldn't have made excuses. I wouldn't have let fear and doubt keep me stuck. If I had known what I was going to feel when I sat in that cell thinking that my life was over, I would have dreamt bigger. I would have taken more action. I would have taken more risk. I would have been all in. I'll tell you this, if I had known what I was going to feel when I sat in that cell thinking my life was over, I wouldn't have created a life I'd regret one day. And you see, it was that feeling right there, that moment that has stuck with me ever since. And it changed my life forever because I understand what's at stake. I literally feel like I died and got a second chance at life. I've been blessed. And my mission, my purpose is now to share this message with you so that you feel this message. So it compels you to change in some way that adds value to your life, that helps people, that pushes you to that next level, whatever it is for you. Can you imagine wrestling with this truth and coming into this awareness in a jail cell with no escape? The next day, after having these breakthroughs and these epiphanies, I was waking up with anxiety and stress and fear. All I could think about was the past that I had squandered. And if I wasn't feeling depressed about the past, it was immense anxiety and fear for the future. Thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in this jail cell? I'm never going to get out to hug my family. I'm never going to get to start a family of my own. And those thoughts were just wreaking havoc on my well-being. And I realized in that moment, the most imminent threat wasn't being in jail. It wasn't the other inmates. It wasn't the poor living conditions. It was my own mindset and the way that I was talking to myself. And I realized that I had to get control over my mental state. Otherwise, I had no hope to get out of that cell alive. And so that's when I started doing something that changed my life forever. I started asking myself different questions that led to me feeling differently. And the way I did this was one day I just woke up and I thought, man, Sean, what if you don't know shit? What if this experience is actually going to save your life? What if you needed to come to jail and go to prison to get sober? Otherwise, you were going to end up dead, like your family members, like your friends. What if you needed to come to prison to get away from those toxic relationships and really find out who you are and be that person? And what I realized was that despite the fact that I couldn't see it, God had a plan for me. And it was a blessing in disguise that I couldn't fully understand in the moment, but something was transpiring in my life. And it was that belief that I chose to cling on to that gave me just a little bit of hope that carried me through each and every day. But you see, our thoughts aren't enough. We have to have that positive self-talk. We have to always project into the future in a positive manner to set ourselves up to be at an advantage. Most people do the opposite. They're always thinking about the downside, the negative outcomes. They're always putting themselves at a disadvantage by the way they talk to themselves. I couldn't afford to do that in that jail cell. It would have been like torture. So I realized I had to always believe that somehow, some way, things could get better. Somehow, some way, there's a plan. I can't see it, but I have to believe it. I can't touch it, but I have to believe it. And that's what I created, this belief in myself, this belief in the world, the belief in God that has guided me ever since. And so what I started doing in that tiny little jail cell was I realized I had to take some action. I couldn't just sit there and hope and pray that things would get better. Now, I couldn't change the opinions of the DA, the cops, the lawyers, the people that were telling on me. I had no control over that. I had to stop focusing on the things I had no control over and focus on what was within my control. But what could I do? I'm in this tiny little jail cell, 24 hours a day, lockdown, nothing. And so I identified 3 things that I could focus on each and every day that helped me to get through the day and started building myself up. The first was exercise. I would get up every day and I would do push-ups, burpees, squats, whatever I could do just to alleviate the stress, just to elevate beyond the stress and have a moment of clarity, a moment of peace. And when I would work out until I was exhausted, I couldn't do another push-up, I found that moment of peace and clarity. And I could get through to the next task, the next endeavor. And so what I started doing is reading any books that I could get my hands on. Didn't matter if half the pages were ripped out. I'd read a book and get to the end and the last chapter would be ripped out. I didn't care. I was just excited to be reading and doing something to pass the time. And the third thing I did was I started writing every day. I was writing letters back home, corresponding with family members. But here's the thing. I wasn't just going through the motions. When I was doing my workouts every day, I would tell myself, man, I'm so grateful to be working out right now. I'm so blessed to have these arms and legs. I get to work out. I get to do these push-ups. And then when I would go and write letters back home, I would remind myself, man, I'm so blessed to have family members who care about me, who want to hear from me. I get to write these letters. I get to write to my family members back home. And again, when I was reading, reminding myself of how fortunate I was. I get to read these words. I get to use my imagination. I have books to read. I get to read. I get to see what I was doing is I was focusing on the things within my control and finding the gratitude for what I had, not thinking about what I didn't have. How many people in life have a million opportunities at their fingertips? Beautiful family members, money, cars, but they're unhappy because of the way they're thinking. They're focusing on what they don't have, what's going wrong, who they aren't, what they don't do, instead of focusing on all the blessings in their life and pouring their energy and focus into that every single day. If you're going through a tough time, if you catch yourself thinking negatively about your life, talking negatively to yourself about your life, those 3 words will save you. Remember that. I get to. That next morning you don't want to get up and go to the gym. I get to go to the gym. I'm free today. I'm alive. I'm blessed. I'm going to go show my gratitude through my action. Next time you don't want to take that last sales call of the day, you're tired, you're burnt out. I get to. I have these opportunities. I'm so grateful. I get to. Whatever you're doing. Next time you have to go drive or do something where you're sitting in traffic or you're on a long flight, you have delays. I get to do this. This is my life. I'm so blessed. I get to have these opportunities. I get to. All day long, I'm playing that tune in my head. I get to. I'm so grateful. And what it did in that moment when I was in that jail cell is it helped me to construct a gratitude perspective that's never left. And because of that, I started building massive momentum in a 6x8 jail cell with absolutely nothing. And I remember going to sleep at night in that jail cell feeling something I had never felt in my life. Pride, self-love, inner peace. I found peace in a jail cell. I found peace within me despite the chaos in my external environment. I was cultivating something here and here that was life-changing. It was my energy. It was my frequency. And you see a lot of people where they go wrong is they expect to just wake up and feel happy. And when they're not having a good day, they just shrug it off. I'm having a bad day. And they don't do anything about it. I couldn't afford to waste a moment, let alone a day in jail. If I just sat there and hoped for that bad mood or that negative energy to pass, I would have been ruined. I had to cultivate habits every single day that elevated me, that created that positive feeling within, right? That self-love, that gratitude, that inner peace. I earned it every single day. And so by that time, it was irrelevant that I was in jail. I knew I was going to prison. No one believed me. But I was so immersed in my personal development, who I was becoming, how I was feeling, that I was transfixed on this transformation, this journey. And so when they sentenced me to 7 years in prison, I wasn't daunted. I wasn't scared. I wasn't worrying about the other inmates, what prison I would go to, what would happen to me. I told myself, Sean, if you can continue on this path and you overcome this circumstance, this situation that's plaguing you, you could do anything you want in your life when you get out. And that was the mentality. So when I got to prison, that's what I focused on. I focused on personal development each and every day. And I found out that they had college courses in prison. I thought it was the coolest thing. So I started educating myself, and I enrolled in every college course you could imagine. Biology, social and behavioral science, psychology, business. I took it all. And in my time in prison, I got 4 associate's degrees. And they gave me 6 months off my sentence because of that. So every day in prison, I had a purpose. I was a scholar, right? But I wasn't just stopping with my education. I was working out every single day. I became an athlete, right? I was pouring myself into my daily workouts. But instead of doing a couple hundred push-ups in the morning, I would wake up, and while everyone else was sleeping, I was over there in the corner of the gym doing 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 squats before the sun even came up. Like, I was immersed in my personal development, and I had to earn it each and every day. And so after about a couple years, the other guys started noticing my behavior. They started noticing how I was showing up for myself. I was positive. I was motivated. I was disciplined. And they started asking me, Sean, what are you doing this for? Like, how are you staying so motivated in prison? Aren't you sad that you're here? They didn't realize that I had a vision that went far beyond the walls, that I knew that every day in there was precious, and I was intent to make it count so that I could come home and do something special with my life. That was my vision. Every day, who I was becoming, the daily actions that would build me up, that would make those future opportunities possible for me. I had to cultivate it then and there. And so that's when other guys started asking me, hey man, can I work out with you? Or hey, what book are you reading? And so I started mentoring a bunch of other guys while I was in prison. I mentored dozens of other inmates. I showed them what workouts I was doing to lose fat, build muscle, to take care of themselves. I showed them all the personal development books I was reading. I literally read every book, Robert Kiyosaki, Napoleon Hill, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Al Helrod, The Miracle Morning. I read every book. I took notes. I read them 5 times. That's all I had. And so these guys saw the value in who I had become. I didn't even see it yet. I was just doing these things every day because of the way they made me feel. You know, I wasn't stressed. I wasn't overcome with anxiety. I wasn't looking for drugs like the other guys. I was content. I was happy. I was at peace. I had alignment to where I wanted to go in life. Those daily actions gave me freedom from myself. That's something a lot of people out here haven't learned yet. And I discovered that in prison. And I've never deviated since because of how it makes me feel and who it helps me to become and how I show up. And so in that moment, I realized, man, this is what I want to do. Talking to these other guys, working out with them, seeing them read these books and think about life differently and talk about life differently after prison. They're changing their perspective. Look at their habits. They're building muscle. They're feeling confident. They're proud of who they are. I want to come home and have this type of impact on the world. I want to show men out there who are suffering and struggling, who don't have discipline, who are drinking their life away like I used to, who have toxic relationships. I want to show them how to take back control of their life like I've been able to do. And that's what I realized, man, this is my purpose. My purpose is to serve and to give back and to help others. You see, a lot of times people ask me, Sean, what's your purpose? Like, how do I find my purpose? And the way you find your purpose is you dedicate yourself every day to becoming your best self. And over time, by taking action, you develop the clarity. And you'll know when that thing happens where you feel it in your heart. You're like, this is what I'm meant to do. But you can't just sit there and wait for it to come to you. You have to take action to find your purpose. And so by the time I was ready to come home from prison, after 5.5 years, I knew that I was going to come home and I was going to pursue my vision. My vision was to give back, like I said, coach other men, speak on stage, do everything that my heart was calling me to do. The craziest thing happens when you take action. All the answers that plague us, right? Like all the questions we have. What is my purpose? What should I do? Should I do this? When you just take action, those answers appear for themselves. I didn't just sit there one day and have this master plan. I just leaned into that growth every day. What was my heart calling me to do? What was that intuition, right? We all have that feeling within us that's guiding us, but how many of you are actually listening to it and putting it into motion through your actions every single day? A lot of people aren't. A lot of people condition themselves to think based on fear, based on doubt, and they create limitations. Your perspective is made of limitations. You're limiting yourself and your potential. You're all limitless. You can do anything you want. The only reason you don't is because you don't believe it's possible or you don't believe you can do it. That's it. Prison gave me the beautiful opportunity to prove to myself that I can, that I will, and I came home with that mindset. Nothing will stop me. Nothing will stop me because I want to be an example to other people. I want to be the best man for my family. I want to be a leader for my wife and children. I want to show other men what's possible. I want to share my story so people can know that their scars don't define who they are in the present and how they show up in the future. that you can go through hardships, you can go through those struggles and come back better, stronger, and more resilient than ever. And that's what prison did for me. It gave me an opportunity to prove to myself that I am capable. And a lot of people don't come across that test in life. So there's always this hidden doubt, this fear. Can I do it? Am I good enough? It's a thing of self-worth. How do you change that? You all can change that each and every day by just starting to dedicate yourself to doing things that are challenging, that help you to feel proud of who you are at the end of the day. The reason I was going to bed at night in prison proud of who I was, because I was doing things that challenged me. 1,000 burpees? How many of you in here want to do 1,000 burpees tomorrow morning at sunrise? You know how good you'd feel after accomplishing that? Running triathlons, doing marathons, taking care of your health and fitness. It's so vital for how you talk to yourself, for how you feel about yourself, and for how you show up in life, how you show up for your family, how you show up at these networking events, how you show up when you build relationships for business or personal reasons. It doesn't matter, because you create this person, this energy, this self-love, this confidence that other people feel when you step in the room with them. It's a fact, right? I was talking to one of the young guys earlier, and he's like, man, you work out? Like, how do you get so big? I was like, man, this was 10 years of push-ups in prison. But the thing is, he noticed it, and it led to a conversation. And now we can build a relationship, right? Because when you walk in the room, no one knows how much money you have in your bank account. No one saw the car you parked around the corner. They see you. They feel your energy, right? You are your greatest asset. But how many people are neglecting self and focusing on other areas of life? Chasing money, business, right? All these things that we want to do, but you don't do it at the detriment of these other key areas of life. And that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing a lot of people struggle with is, how do you put it all together? How do you put together the business mindset, the execution? How do you put together the personal self-care? How do I make sure that I'm present and attentive for my family members? How can I put it all together? Something's got to give. It's challenging, right? I accredit everything I learned in prison to the success I'm having out here, both personally and professionally. Now I have 3 beautiful children. I married the woman of my dreams. Like, I have my dream life. That's it right there. I don't need to go any further. In prison, every single day, I prayed for a family. I prayed for a wife that I could just treat as my queen, and children that I could raise the right way. I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have the dad I needed. I didn't have the leadership. I didn't have the example. But now it goes beyond that. It goes beyond my family. I want to be that example to the world, because I understand the pain that people go through when they don't take action, when they hold back. I know what it's like to internally just battle with self, to want to drink away your feelings, to lie to self, to feel like shit when you go to bed. Like, I know what that feels like. And my message for you is, it can be better than that. And you deserve better than that, because you're capable of more, right? Especially for you younger people. I talked to some of you guys in the back. Like, now is your time to dedicate the daily routines that help you to love who you are. When you go to bed every night, you should think, damn, what a day. Look at all these cool things I did. Look at all this time I invested in myself and my future. Look at all these relationships I built. Like, I pushed my body. I developed my mindset. I educated myself. Like, go to bed at night feeling proud of who you are and how you live. If you don't, what's the point? Don't let these precious days pass you by. That's what prison taught me. Every day is a gift, and I cherish this journey. So what I get to do now, right? When I came home, I started sharing my story on social media. Very quickly, I went from a trailer with $200 in my pocket, broke, no help, no one gave me anything, to building my brand online. I used Facebook and social media to start telling my story. And I was just vulnerable and open with people about what I went through, how I overcame it, and the things that have helped me in my life. And I started a coaching program for men that's then spread nationally and now internationally. And so what we do is every quarter we host masterminds. We get guys in proximity who want to grow, who want to get that spark, who want to be ignited. Guys who know that they need to develop their mindset. Guys knowing that they need more discipline because they don't even have control over their decisions and how they feel every day. They're not in control of their lives. What a horrible feeling. They're impulsive. They do things habitually that, take away from their quality of life. They're drinking. They're eating crappy food. They're just doing all these things that don't align to the man they want to be. So what we do is we get them focused in on their mindset, their daily habits, and exercise. Because if you can go to the gym every day and work out, what message subliminally are you sending your subconscious mind? That I'm going to do this thing that's hard, that I don't necessarily want to do, that's going to make me a better man. It's going to help me to develop discipline and confidence. I'm going to take care of my health, and I'm going to be a better example for my children and everybody that I come across. Right? So we start helping them to cultivate this vision of their ideal self, their 10.0 self. And then we align their daily actions and routines to that man. So this is what I do in my program. I have an app and I structure everybody's programs individually to help them to become the best individuals they want to be. Some are there to be better family men. Some want to execute in a higher level in business. Some just are sick and tired of walking around fat, lazy, and out of shape. Like, Sean, I know I'm better than this. What do I do? Show me the way. So I started that program 4 years ago, and it took off, right? And now we're doing masterminds where we go to different locations. We did one in Atlanta. We did one in Santa Barbara. I'm doing one in Dallas next month. And we'll be in Puerto Rico next month in August. So if anybody here knows that they want to be around individuals that are striving to better themselves, men who want to be at their best, right? You want to be in proximity to individuals who you can build networks with, who you can learn from, who you can grow amongst. This will be an amazing event. We're going to do a lot of things that are going to help you to develop your mindset, to create that spark, to ignite that spark. But not just that, I want you to leave there with a blueprint as to how to execute each and every day afterwards, like what to do to continue to improve yourself, right? And then we don't just leave you alone after that. We're a part of an extended network where we check in with you with accountability, support, and we make sure that you have the guidance you need to continue progressing in your life. Those are the things that I'm most passionate about doing, because I know that proximity is powerful, and that's why you're all here tonight. And when you get in rooms of like-minded people who are motivated and inspired, it takes us all to the next level, because I see you leveling up. I see you leveling up, right? And naturally, I'm going to be on that level. I want to be on that level. I want to do what you're doing, right? And so iron sharpens iron. It's so true. And so not just the mastermind, but honestly, you guys, I'm blessed. I get to travel and speak. I have a beautiful family. I get to coach. I get to do what I love every single day. It's a life by design. I chose that I was no longer going to drink. I was no longer going to smoke. I was no longer going to sabotage myself. I cut out all toxic relationships. And I made a deep internal promise to myself that I was going to be the man that my heart was calling me to be. That was 10 years ago, and I haven't wavered since. It started in a jail cell, and I carried it out to here, and now I'm just pursuing my vision. And so my message to you is that I know you guys all feel in your heart that there's something more for you, that there's this calling, this thing that you want to do, this change you want to make. Life is short. Don't hold back. You know, I know that all of you are so capable and you have so much internally to share and offer to the world. And you're doing people a disservice if you don't step into your power and really embrace that calling. Because when other people see you taking action and they see what you are doing in your life, it inspires them to take their life above and beyond. That's my message for you tonight. Thank you for letting me speak. Appreciate it.
What did you guys think? Sean was pretty electrifying, right? And so I met Sean a year ago, and to introduce myself, my name is Jandy Texan. I'm a fitness coach. I coach high-level entrepreneurs. I have a private gym in Old San Juan. But when I met Sean a year ago, there was a spark. I invested into a mastermind myself, actually, and this is the biggest investment that I ever made. And so I was at the hotel room waiting to get a ride, calling an Uber to the mastermind itself. Sean was the first guy to approach me. He's like, hey, get in my car. So I get in my car and we start talking. We start conversing about personal development, fitness. But one thing about Sean is that his certainty as a man, his confidence, his belief system, I was electrified. I was like, I have never felt this kind of presence and energy in my life. I need to be around people like this. Fast forward a year later, I joined his program in January, and he completely transformed my mindset, the way that I talk, the way that I speak. And I'm a living example of someone who's still young, who wants to pursue his dreams, but surrounding yourself with high belief system people like Sean himself is what's going to elevate you to the next level. And this is why my business partner, Ali, and I are hosting this mastermind in August, because we believe that if men are surrounded by men who have a high belief system, who aren't just here to chase money, chase other opportunities, that's not their actual calling. He's helped me unlock certain misbeliefs, limiting beliefs in my life. And I want to share that with you guys because, you know, as a 25-year-old, it's hard to believe. Like, you didn't go through an entire life yet. Why should I trust you? Why should I listen to you? And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I bring someone who's 10 years of age, older than me, who has that belief system and who has a story that we could share? Because I believe that if we cultivate as men, we're tribal. You know, we keep each other accountable. We hold each other to the highest standard. We could be the men that we need today. Men who are confident, men who care about their family, and who care about this world. And you know, I'm super grateful, and this is why we're having an invite-only event tomorrow at Fogo de Chao. For you guys, for men who are interested in learning more about the mastermind, we're sponsoring this Fogo de Chao event. It's on Wednesday, tomorrow, at 12 p.m. If you're interested in learning more, just reach out to me, Ollie, and Sean. We'll gather you guys' information. And, you know, I'm super grateful. Been living in Puerto Rico for 2 years now. But if we want change, we need to take action. And this is why Ollie and I took the action of flying Sean out here, speaking at Uncommon Entrepreneurs event. And I want to give one more shout out to Drew and Brian, the Uncommon Entrepreneurs, for hosting this event. So give them a big shout out. So lastly, I really hope that you guys really felt inspired. Take action, because we all have that mental prison in our own head, but it's up to us to make that change into creating that 10.0 version of ourselves. That's our calling. Thank you guys.